I sat beside Alessandro all the way to the hospital. He was lying like a lifeless body with an oxygen mask on his face. I was very anxious as we were going to the hospital in the ambulance. The male nurse beside me kept him in check and assured me everything would be fine. But my worries are not taking a name for leaving. I am so scared. All cruel memories of the past kept roaming in my head as tears slipped through my eyes. All I could hope was that nothing serious happened to him. Because if anything goes wrong, I can never forgive myself. Soon, we reached the hospital, which seemed like forever to me. The medical staffs were faster as they immediately set up a stretcher and took him inside. I followed them. The doctor checked him on the spot and decided that he needed an operation immediately. While I watched the nurses and other doctors taking him inside, the main doctor stopped me, following them. "Mrs. Devante, there is a procedure you need to sign." His words stopped me on the track. This doctor knows us well but didn't know the recent news of our divorce. "But, doctor," I tried to explain that this was not in my hands anymore, but he continued, "His condition is serious. The operation needs to be done really quickly. But before that, we need to complete the procedures as quickly as possible. Otherwise, we can admit him to OT." I don't know why God is so obsessed with putting me in such crazy situations. The more I want to stay out of this family, the more I am drowned in it. "Mrs. Devante? Please hurry up." Yeah. "Where to sign?" I asked. "There is nothing to do. The surgery needs to be done immediately. If I wait for his family members to come, it will be too late. After the procedure is completed, the OT room is closed, and the red light is on." I called Calvin to let him know and asked him to inform his family. As I was waiting out of the room with an anxious heart, Alessandro's grandmother arrived on crutches with Aunt Gina. Grandma Nina was breathing heavily. Her face is filled with terror. Even though I don't have any good connection with them, I must have to admit Grandma's love for his grandson. "How is my Alessandro?" Grandma asked hastily. "He's still in resuscitation. He needed an operation immediately, and doctors are attending him in the OT," I replied with my head lowered in guilt and fear. "Even though we are divorced now, I still love him. And today, he is fighting for his life because of me at some point." I could feel tears blurring my vision once again. On the other hand, Grandma almost fainted hearing the news. Aunt Gina helped her sit on the bench at the side. Suddenly Gina turned to me and pushed me back, making me stumble. "You bitch! It's all because of you. You only brought bad luck to your husband." And then, without warning, she slapped me on the cheek. It burnt like hell. But that wasn't the end of it. I raised my hand and slapped her hard, sending her stumbling. "Stay away," I glared at her. Gina's eyes widened in disbelief as she stared at me, covering her cheek. She didn't expect this. They thought they were dealing with the same Victoria they knew, but it's not the case anymore. "How dare you!" Grandma barked at me and coughed violently in the force. However, that didn't stop her from scolding. "Do you even know how to be a good wife? 3 years with my Alessandro. And you can't even learn to take care of your husband." I locked my eyes on her. Even though I was often unfairly accused, I made it a point to keep my gaze averted whenever she spoke so as not to show disrespect to Alessandro's eldest relative. Now, things have changed. I did not lose my cool like them, as I said calmly. "We are divorced." The news made both women silenced for a brief moment before they both gasped in unison. "You are divorced?" I nodded. "Yes, we are. Just completed the procedure this morning." They looked skeptical about it. No wonder about it, though. They never believed in my words ever. Yet, it does not bother me anymore. Gina stepped forward threateningly. Then how much property did you take from Alessandro? As shameless as you are, you must have demanded half of it. Her words didn't anger me but made me chuckle, even in this stressful situation. Her nephew is inside, fighting for his life, and outside, she is worried about how much the property has gone. Yeah, all can see who is the shameless one. I shook my head. I didn't take anything from him. You didn't take anything? She sneered in disgust, making me cringe. When did you become so good, huh? You get married for money, and now when you are leaving, you will leave without anything? Say these words to those who will believe you, not us. To think that we are so stupid as to be unaware of your insatiable avarice is absurd. I was expecting these thoughts from her. So, I don't drag her words. There is no point in arguing with people who always believe they are right. I only shook my head with a mocking smirk on my face when the red light turned off. A few seconds later, the main doctor came out of the room. Grandma jumped from her seat and almost dragged herself before him. How is he? How is my child? The operation is successful. Thanks to Mrs. Devante for bringing him to the hospital sooner. No vital organs were harmed, he just needs more rest. How long will it take for him to wake up? Grandma asked again. Don't worry, ma'am. He will wake up in a few hours, he replied. Only one person will be allowed to stay beside him tonight, and I prefer Mrs. Devante to do so. Saying that, he looked up at me, making me freeze on the spot. The feeling of once again getting close to him was a kind of strange nauseous to me. I don't think I can handle that. Moreover, there are lots of willing people to take care of him. I was about to deny the proposal, but Aunt Gina beat me to it. Mrs. Devante? Her eyes narrowed at me in suspicion. Didn't you just say you were divorced a few ago? How come you are still Mrs. Devante? I almost rolled my eyes at her but controlled myself. I don't want to create any scene in the hospital and remain calm as much as possible. Yes, we are divorced, and that happened just this morning. Unfortunately, the doctor didn't know it. At that time, it was impossible to describe all of it. Try to understand the situation. I replied as the doctor stared at me, a little taken aback. Wait! Gina widened her eyes like a hypocrite. Did you just sign the formal papers in the hospital? How are you doing that? You are not a family anymore. I really can't believe this woman. She is still caring about everything except Alessandro. And dare to call herself his family member? Did you see the audacity of this woman, Mom? What a pathetic bitch. And she even said she didn't demand anything from the property. Miss Devante, the doctor stopped her in the middle. When Mr. Devante arrived in the hospital, he was fighting for his life. It was very urgent to operate on him at that moment. If we were to wait for you, his real family members, you wouldn't see him alive anymore. So, that lady over there signed it as someone who used to be his family member. I am really grateful to the doctor. At least he cares more than his family members and knows it is a needy situation. But, Gina was still not convinced when Grandma stopped her. It's all right, Gina. At least she could do this much after eating his money for 3 years. Well, none of them knows how to talk about bringing money in each sentence, do they? Grandma turned to the doctor again, ignoring me completely. You said someone needs to stay here for the patient? She patted her old chest. I will stay with my child. I will take care of him. Doctor shook his head, getting uncomfortable in the situation. Ma'am, I appreciate and understand your love for your grandson, but he needs someone who can properly care for him. It may sound offensive, but he needs someone healthy beside him. Doctor is right, Mom, Gina spoke. I know a nanny, I'll send her right away. You don't have to worry, Mom. No. No need for a nanny. Grandma denied it hurriedly. But why, Mom? She is good. Trust me. Gina argued as I watched their drama standing behind me. Grandma shook her head and then suddenly looked up at me. You stay here and take care of him. Her words really surprised me. Oh, she wanted me to leave his side, yet she insisted I stay here and care for his grandson. Did the sun rise from the west today? This woman is a spoilsport, how can she take good care of Alessandro? Mom? What is wrong with you? Both started arguing while I was in my thoughts, hardly listening to them. What happened today has a connection with me, though I never asked for his help, he volunteered himself and got hurt in between. And I am grateful to him for saving me. Somewhere, this situation made me guilty inside, thinking of Dominique. I could not save him that time, but I don't want the same situation again. I will stay and take good care of him. My words stopped both of them as they turned to me. Grandma nodded firmly, and I don't know if I saw it right. I felt a glimpse of a strange plea in her stoic blue eyes, which vanished immediately, throwing me into question. Let's go, Gina, Grandma said reluctantly, not removing her eyes from Alessandro's room. Gina frowned but did not retort anymore. Stay and take good care of him, if you don't, I'll kill you. Then she left with her grandmother. I could answer her back, but I am done with this shit and not in the mood to deal with these things anymore. After they were gone, the doctor also left, asking me to inform him if there is any situation. And he will keep checking on him from time to time. I went inside the room. He is lying on the bed peacefully. Watching him now, no one will say that this man is full of arrogance and ego. I sat on the stool next to his bed. Why do you disturb my life after the divorce, Alessandro? Who asked you to come my way when our roads went different? Why are you adamant about putting me in situations I don't want to deal with? Why? I asked, but there was no response from him. And a sigh left my lips. I slowly brought my mobile from my bag and dialed Antonio's number. He called me a couple of times, but there was no situation to pick up the call or notice. One ring, and he immediately picked up the call. Goodness, Victoria. Where are you? Here I am, getting insane when you are not picking up. He sounded so mad, and once again, I felt guilty. Hey, I am fine, Aunt, calm down first, I said and heard him taking a deep breath and letting it go. Okay, where are you now? Did the divorce happen? Though he tried to be calm, his tone was betraying him. I nodded. The divorce happened, and I am fine. But, there is a little situation. Well, Alessandro, I calmly explained the situation to him, and he was not convinced at first. But my firmness earned a yes from him reluctantly. Should I come? Or send David, his assistant? No, Aunt. I am fine. It's just this night. I am responsible for his situation and will take care of it. Don't worry about me. I am fine. If I need anything, I will let you know. Fine. As you say. He sounds defeated. After warning me to call him if I needed anything and making several promises, he finally hung up. After hanging up, I played games on my phone and then browsed online. The media is filled with my news, my relationship with Antonio, and many more. Soon, I was bored and kept the phone aside. I checked on Alessandro once and comfortably bent down on the bed. I don't know what my thoughts are, but I was drowned in past memories. The fire, Dominique dying, coming across Alessandro, his rejections, coldness, my pregnancy, our divorce, and lastly, him saving me. I wanted to come out of those thoughts, but I was too drowned as if I was paralyzed. My heart started racing when suddenly I felt a slight touch of comfort on my head. As if someone is gently stroking my head, bringing me out from those vicious visions of mine and putting me in a very comfortable position. Hey! Wake up, please! A desperate tone rang in my head. I opened my eyes only to be greeted by darkness. I could sense myself but could see nothing. Where am I? The last thing I remember, I was in the government office for divorce. Victoria was waiting for me when I arrived there. I only saw coldness and no regret in those green eyes. She turned into a whole different person since she left me. She was sarcastic about my late arrival. Did she not get it? I don't want to divorce her. I was late, willfully, hoping she would change her mind, which never happened. She was so desperate to get rid of me. Is she so tired of me? Was I that irritating to be with? I wanted to ask, but I didn't. When we were sitting before the divorce officer and he was asking questions, she did not hesitate to reply once. She knew what she was doing. It seemed I had never met this Victoria before. She was so desperate to leave that she didn't bother about the divorce price. In other words, everything she claimed was true. Victoria never mentioned once about my assets. I was so mad over everything at myself that I did not wait until after we were officially divorced. I just asked out of the place. Even though it was a huge haul, but I was feeling suffocated. If I didn't walk out at that moment, I might have done something I would regret later. For once, I still hoped her coming after me. Yet, she didn't. I wanted to leave that place, but I couldn't and waited for her. When she came out, she was smiling happily. And it broke my heart. She is so happy in this divorce, then why has everything fallen apart for me? Why can't I feel happiness as she does? For 3 years, I have avoided her. I never cared for her much and ignored her tears, then why can't I ignore her now? Why does it feel like everything has just ended for me? Why? I am so mad. I don't really know anymore on whom or why. I couldn't stop myself from being sarcastic. We argued, which started with me, though. Then I saw a car coming toward her as if it had lost its control. Everything disappeared before my eyes, and I didn't think before jumping in to save her. Suddenly I felt like I was flying in the sky, and in the next second, I was thrown to the ground roughly. Everything turned black before my eyes, and I woke up in this dark hole. Am I dead? Am I in heaven or hell? Where is Victoria? Is she safe? Oh God, I just hope she is okay. Hey, wake up! The voice rang in my head again. I looked around to find the source. I know this voice. Victoria? I called for her. And suddenly, I smelled burning fuels and smoke as if I was surrounded by fire, suffocating. And suddenly, I was thrown back into the same situation of years ago, accident, fire, and a savior. My whole body is paining. The heart is drumming in its cage. Please, I heard her again and against all odds. Her tone cleared like water. Victoria. Is that you? My heart was racing faster, and suddenly I could see a ray of light far away. Victoria? Are you there? I slowly walked in that direction. I don't know what awaits me or if Victoria is there. I don't even know if her voice is just my hallucination. I followed my instinct and kept walking to that light. The more I got close, the more I could feel the bright light, and soon it consumed me whole as my eyes ached at the sudden brightness. I blinked slowly and opened my eyes to find all white before me. My head is pounding, and my eyes are still hurting for the light. Slowly, I realized the beeping sounds of the machine. This is... Wait. Am I in the hospital? Am I alive? Victoria? Where is she, then? My heart churned tightly when I felt something soft tickling my right hand. I tilted my head, and it was her. Victoria is lying beside me. Her head was down on her hands, and she was sitting on the stool next to my bed. I swear, at this moment, I felt like I am on top of the world. With her by my side, all my worries and sorrows were gone. I am not sure when I felt this relieved as I am now after seeing her healthy and safe. It felt like we were not divorced, and everything was like before. Oh, how I wish that to happen. I sighed and lowered my head more to see her beautiful face. She has a face that you would feel stunning the more you look at her. Her beauty grows with time, and there is no going back. Her brows are furrowed slightly. Big lashes are almost touching her face, and rosy lips are parted. I didn't realize how much I missed her in just a few days. For 3 years, she has been with me. Yeah, I admit I was a bit mad for her lying about her pregnancy to marry me. But apart from it, she was the perfect wife someone could wish for. For years, she has been insulted in my family, and I never take her side because of that one lie. When she decided to walk out of me, I realized my mistakes. She proved that she was never greedy for fame, name, or money. She just wanted me beside her, and I failed miserably. I kept my hand on her head and started caressing her. One chance only, and I promise I will make things right this time, Victoria. I woke up with a bad dream of losing my unborn child. My eyes jerked open, and I breathed relief, realizing it was just a bad dream. Rubbing my eyes, I slightly raised my head only to gasp. Alessandro was wide awake and staring at me with softness in his eyes. I tried to tear my gaze away from his, but something about his icy blue eyes held me captive. They were dull but soft. Filled with an emotion I am not used to getting from him. Why, you are awake. He did not reply to me back, yet surprisingly smiled. This smile I had never got before from him. Even if he had smiled at me like this only a few days ago, I would have been on my knees for the rest of eternity. Help me up, will you? His weak tone once again made me feel that I had caused his situation somewhat. So, even though my mind was continuously chanting not to do it, I helped him. The proximity is suffocating for me and mixed with his weird behavior. It's 10 times worse. How long have I been asleep? Alessandro asked after he was settled comfortably. I stood up, trying to maintain distance from him. About 10 hours. Are you okay? Did you get injured? He asked. No, I shook my head. Thanks to you. Yeah, I am grateful and regretting somewhere because I have to stay beside him when I only want to avoid this man for life. That's good, Alessandro said. Can you get me some water? I nodded and brought water, then handed it to him. But he didn't hold it but looked up at me with a slight smirk. I need you to help me drink it. My brows surely closed together at his demand. What does he want? You have your own hands, Alessandro. I kindly remind him of the reality. Shrugging, he tried to loft his arm and winced in pain before dropping it down again. You see? I can't. Can you do this for me? After seeing his dramatic gesture, my eyes felt like rolling back in my head. But since it involves the man who saved me, I suppose I can make an exception this time. So, I picked up the spoon from the tray and tried to feed him with the spoon. Taking a spoonful of water, I held it in front of his lips. He leaned forward and held my arm to get balance. Well, I thought about that, but he had another plan. Instead of drinking water, he pulled me down and pressed his lips on mine. For a moment, I was stunned. I stared at him in horror like an iceberg. Soon, I regained my conscience and pushed him back, releasing me from his grip. What the fuck are? But before my sentence could fall properly, I heard a high-pitched female tone from behind. Alessandro. The high-pitched tone caught me off guard. Fuck. What is this bitch doing here now? Cursing her and my fate equally, I quickly got away from my ex-husband. I turned around to see the person. And I was right. Camilla enters the room with an anxious look on her face. She sprinted to the bed, completely ignoring my presence, or maybe she was too perturbed not to notice me. Either way, she is a real drama queen. My thoughts broke with her next words. Why didn't you call me? I could have stayed beside you. She is now hovering on top of him. Alessandro frowned and unexpectedly moved a little to my side. Why are you here? He inquired because he was becoming increasingly irritated by her presence. I don't understand this man anymore. He suddenly kissed me and now behaving differently toward Camilla. I looked at Camilla, who was not ready to give up, and leaned more toward him. Come on, Al. Let me see your wound. I am very much embarrassed between these two. 1. He just kissed me out of my consent, and I am hella mad about it. 2. I have to see this bitch's face for no reason, and 3. I even have to witness their bittersweet love or whatever before my eyes. Bloody life of mine. Way too in sync with Devontae's and their favorite woman. There is a patience limit for everything. Mine broke when she entered. So, I stood up and decided to leave them alone. I silently grabbed my belongings from the little table and was ready to walk out when... Stop there! Camilla shouted as I looked at her with an arching brow. Did she just raise her tone at me? Well, how dare she? You bitch! It's all because of you. You are the reason that Alessandro get hurt. I wanted to punch her immediately in the face, but I controlled myself because I was still feeling guilty that he got hurt because of me, even though it was a pure accident. But, who would understand this lady that, right? No point. So, I did not bother to explain it to her and just said, since you are here, Alessandro definitely does not need my care anymore. So, I am leaving. Oh, you better leave. I advise you to divorce Alessandro as soon as possible. Camilla shouted at me again as I scrunched my nose in irritation. First of all, lower your voice. This is a hospital and not your living area open for barking, and secondly, a sneer appeared on my lips. We are already divorced. I wanted to say more things when Alessandro coughed loudly and kind of violently, maybe choked in some air or sort. Camilla gasped and jumped back a few steps, widening her eyes in horror. But I could not ignore him. Because the force of coughing also caused blood to ooze out from the bandage on his head. Dropping my bag on the table, I quickly held him as he leaned on me and pressed the button to call the doctor. While I rubbed his back, the doctor came and checked on him. He informed me that nothing was serious. He is fine. It's just the force of coughing. So he instructed a nurse to change the bandage too with a new one. After they left and Alessandro was stable again, Camilla finally came close to him. Oh, Al, I am sorry for all this. You feeling all right now? She asked softly, touching his arm or trying to because Alessandro did not let her, moving toward my side more. If you are that much worried, why don't you just leave me alone? He said weakly, but his tone was firm and cold. I felt he was talking with me for a moment, but Camilla's shocked expression made me realize that he had said to her, "Wait! Did he just do that? Oh my God! What has gotten into this man? You! All because of you!" Camilla suddenly shouted again, pointing her finger at me. "What did you do to my Al, huh? Did you hurt his head or give him drugs? Because of you, he is in this state." Her scream really is out of the zone and ridiculous. I have had enough of their never-ending drama. I know, he is here because of me. But it was an accident, and I never invited it. Anyways, that probably won't get inside your pretty head. I took a deep breath and then exhaled. Even if I didn't have to stay here and take care of him, I would also be accountable for all the medical costs since, once more, I confess that Alessandro was hurt as a result of me. So, I will take my leave now. Saying, I grabbed my bag, turned around, and walked out of place when... "Wait, Victoria, stop. Please, don't go. Listen to me, Victoria." I heard Alessandro's pleading tone, calling for me from behind, and as much coldness was showing from outside, his calling for me was breaking me from the inside. Leaving everything, I want to turn around and go back to him. But, no. Not anymore, Alessandro. I have given enough of me and my heart, but you abused it cruelly before throwing it, and I don't want to repeat the same shit anymore. Without paying even mere attention to his shouting behind me, I walked out of the hospital with my pride intake in me. From now on, our ways parted for a lifetime. Please, don't go. Victoria! I shouted after her, but she left. No! She cannot leave me. I have to do something. I can't live without her by my side. Even if she is angry and hard on me, I will take everything, but I want her beside me. I will let her hate me, but not at the price of leaving me. No! I did not care if I was injured or attached to wires. I removed the comforter over me and quickly got out of bed. However, I could not make it, and losing my balance, I fell to the ground. Still, I struggled to stand up. I needed to stop her before she walked out on me. I don't want our ways to be parted. Fuck. I need her in my bloody life. Victoria, wait! I shouted, but she was gone, turning my fear into reality. Lost, I stared at the closed door. She was gone. She left me. I stood up, struggling. No, I can't lose her. I was an idiot for ignoring her, and now I have realized my mistake. I will make everything right. Just let me out of this place once. Alessandro, she said you are divorced. Is it true? Camilla said from beside me, trying to help me to stand up on my feet. For a split second, I forgot she was here. Before she came, everything was going well. She was beside me. The moment she entered, Victoria left because of her viciousness. Freeing my arm with a jerk, I glared at her coldly. Get out of here before I lose my patience. But she was Camilla, and she was not convinced yet. I don't know if she ever cared for me in her life or just ran after me for her own motive. What kind of magic did she do to you that you can't stop thinking about her even though you are divorced? She retorted back, making me see red before my eyes. I swear I was being way too patient with her, more than she deserved. Just because she saved me once, she is using it for granted. Are you ignoring my warnings, Camilla? Do not push your luck hard. I said, sitting at the edge of the bed. I am pushing my luck? She said in disbelief. How could you even think of saying that, Alessandro? Do not forget, you broke your leg in the accident, and I was the one who rescued you from there, risking my own life. I even hurt my wrist because of it, and I will never be able to play the piano again. Camilla said as tears started falling from her eyes. I have always been there by your side no matter what. Even if I have to sacrifice my dream and career, I never left your side, and now you are ignoring me for that worthless woman? She sobbed. I felt my head hammering inside. Too fucking painful, all this stress. And this woman is enough to send me to deathbed alone. I don't know, for some reason, I started doubting the truth behind her words. Nothing seems authentic in it. Don't avoid me, Alessandro. She stepped forward to me as I looked up at her again. Do you remember when you told me that you would be responsible for me for a lifetime? You said that you would marry me. But then, you married Victoria instead. I raised my hand. Camilla. No, don't stop me, Al. Even if you want me to go, I won't. She did not let me interrupt her as she continued. That woman was just a mere secretary before. She never deserved to marry you in the first place. All she did was drug you and drag you to the bed, and then what? She faked her pregnancy and forced you into the marriage. She took a step forward as I arched my brow at her. Something is not right in her words. I could feel it, but I couldn't really catch it. I was hurt, Alessandro. I was mad at you for not keeping your promise, but I realized your part too. That's why I kept quiet. I always thought you were forced to marry her. And I still believe that. Now that you are divorced and free, Al, you can keep your promise now, right? Marry me, Alessandro. Fulfill your promise. She touched my shoulder, which suddenly gave me a disgusted feeling. I stood up, stable this time, and pushed her away, walking on the other side. Yes, I did promise you, and that was 3 years ago, Camilla. Later, I married Victoria. Though she left me now, I intend to get her back. I am sorry, I can't marry you. I rejected her. I wish I had done it long ago and not disrespected my wife. She wouldn't have taken this decision if I didn't force her. How am I not as good as her? Camilla almost shouted again, gaining my attention. Stop shouting, remember, this is a hospital. And I don't want to discuss with you my move life. I have given your part of the answer clearly. No. We are not done yet. You are divorced now, Alessandro. I don't know why and how she left you, but she did. And didn't you just see what happened last night at the party? She has found a new sugar daddy for herself. Moreover, my family has more money, and I can help you with business. I feel more and more guilty about the way I treated Victoria in the past with each passing day. For the simple reason that, in retrospect, I can see what a wonderful wife and woman she was. At least I never had to deal with such shit before. I closed my eyes, inhaling a deep, sharp breath to calm myself, and then looked at her again. I am very grateful for what happened back then. For you saved my life. I am more than willing to make it up to you in other ways, and I only hope you won't bother Victoria again with your actions or words. Camilla stared at me for some time before she laughed like a desperate maniac and then plastered a wicked smile on her face. Well, then Alessandro Devante. You finally chose that bloody bitch over me, huh? Even after knowing what she did and what I did. Still expecting me to behave? She chuckled evilly before shaking her head. I never thought you would do this to me, Alessandro. And I will make sure you regret your decision. With that, she left. After she was gone, I sat on the bed alone. I was crazily missing Victoria's presence around me and thinking about the past times of my life. The more I think, the more things get confusing. And in all this, the main confusion is my vague memory of that night years ago when Camilla claimed she saved me while my thoughts and dreams say the other thing. Did she save me that night? Though there was no exact reason for me to think she was lying, I just could not believe her words anymore. I need to find out about it. With that thought, I picked up my phone from the little table beside the bed and unlocked it. Immediately my eyes narrowed at it. It says it's in full charge when I completely remembered having it less than 50%. Does that mean? Victoria. A rush of comfort waved through my body, relaxing me. Even after our divorce, she did not forget to care for me, even if it was just the return of the favor. In her words only, I will do it again and again if needed. I dialed Calvin's number, and he picked up the call immediately. Director? How are you? He sounded half relieved and half panicked. Yeah, I am fine now. Thanks to Victoria. Miss Blake? He sounded confused. She is with you now? First of all, I fucking hated him for calling her Miss Blake instead of Mrs. Devante, and secondly, my mood turned off again, recalling how because of Camilla, she left. Stop talking too much. I barked at him and instructed him to send me the reports of the accident that happened 3 years ago as soon as possible. Standing before the high-tech building of East Shine, I inhaled a sharp breath. I noticed an unusual feeling inside as I looked up at the structure, and my heart was racing very fast. This is East Shine, one of the best jewelry design companies, and I am the heiress of this business, set up by my grandfather. When I was younger, my parents and I often visited this place. People used to love me so much and called me the Princess of East Shine. Years later, here I am once again. But the situation is totally different. Except for a few people, no one knows about my real identity. As Victoria Blake, today I will officially join as the company's chief designer. But I will not let that deter me from achieving my goal. The only thing I care about is me, my child, and my family. Inhaling another deep breath, I stepped inside the company. I saw David, Antonio's assistant, waiting for me as he greeted me with a nod. He did not go overboard because I had clearly warned him and Antonio not to be overly concerned toward me and let people know. He led me inside and took me to the 9th floor and Antonio's office. Thank God, you are fine. He didn't bully you? Antonio rushed beside me and asked. His jaw set firm, making me smile. Do you think it's easy to bully Victoria Edwards? I raised my eyebrow in challenge, which softened his expression a bit. I am proud of you, doll, he said softly, kissing my head. So? Excited about your first day? Let's go, I replied with confidence. Soon, Antonio gathered the whole design department in the huge hall of East Shine. Afterward, everyone showed up with confused faces due to the quick call from the director. Ladies and gentlemen, I have an announcement to make. A few days ago, our chief designer Miss Brown retired, and many discussions about the post were held. But not anymore, we have found our new chief designer. He looked at me and said, "Now, please introduce yourself to your future colleagues." With a smile, I stepped forward, nodding at him and toward the employees. Thank you, Director Antonio, for this opportunity. I am Victoria, the new chief designer of East Shine. I hope for your support and acceptance to work here. A feeling of belonging washed over me as I took in the resounding applause. It felt so warm, and a sense of pride rise through me. The start of my journey. My career. Ladies and gentlemen, as Miss Victoria said, I hope you will support her through the journey. From here, she will take over the responsibilities from Miss Shane. Antonio pointed toward a blonde woman. Then he turned his gaze to me. Since Miss Brown departed, I've been assisted by Miss Shane. I thought you should know that, Miss Victoria. I have a meeting to attend. This is yours now. Take care. I will, and with my reply, Antonio left. The moment he left, I heard rushed murmurs from the employees. I could not catch all their words but got a few. The new director is so young. Don't even know where she is from. How can she be our director all of a sudden? Who knows, maybe she's a hot new fashion designer. She must be the president's lover and got the position. I thought Miss Shane got this director position. And here she is. Does she even have abilities? I only laughed inside and shook my head. I knew this would come and was already prepared to ignore such things. Rather than trying to impress other people, my only goal is to impress myself. Ignoring all the comments, I cleared my throat, earning their attention to me once again. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm new here, and I should probably start by learning your names, right? But that's not what I am here for. I am here for work, and I will like to know you by your work too. I roamed my eyes at faces once and witnessed many expressions at a time. Some were jealous, some were ignoring, some were interested, and some were blank. My eyes stopped at the blonde woman, who seemed not very pleased with my appearance. Sure, she thought she would get the position, but it did not happen. Miss Shane, I have heard the exhibitions have been prepared. But why they haven't been launched yet? Immediately her face turned gloomy, and she seemed a little flabbergasted. She turned silent, and I was running out of patience. Miss Shane, I am waiting. I stood firm, folding my arms over my chest. Ma'am, one of the partners of the exhibition was very difficult to deal with, we tried very hard. She said, licking her lips. When I looked at the other employees, they were silent too, and the atmosphere suddenly changed into a cold one. Miss Shane, I am expecting the details of the exhibition in my email by the end of the day. I will follow up on this project from now on, meeting adjourned. And then, I walked out of the office. I have an exhausting day in the hospital. I need some rest, even though I don't care about my health much, I need to do it for my baby and my family. Leaving the building entrance, I was about to call a taxi when I heard a soft familiar voice stun me as my head immediately caught that direction. Victoria. My eyes met a couple, watching me with their soft gazes. Just a mere look at their faces and all my emotions churned up, making me weak on my knees. Mama, Papa, that's the two words I could utter before breaking down in tears. 3 years ago, I didn't meet my parents, now, they are right before my eyes. I was selfish. I was too willful and blinded by love. And that's what I have been punished for. I was hurt by the man I loved the most, and that made me realize nothing comes first than family. I had no choice but to get down on my knees. At the moment, I don't care about my surroundings, I only know that I am before the people I have missed so much. Even before this day, I didn't realize I had missed them this much. I felt Mama's touch on my arms as she stood me up. I looked at her, and the tears in her eyes broke me out more. I am trembling, and all energy is drowned away. I would have fallen on the road once more if Papa hadn't been there to save me. Shoo, love, don't cry. Papa caressed my head while Mama tried to calm me down. But I couldn't stop myself. It was out of my control. I don't know how to stop myself. In the span of a few minutes, I went from being a strong, capable lady to a blubbering wreck. I stood before the billion-dollar mansion where I grew up like a princess, with people loving and spoiling me. All the memories from the past were floating in my mind. Come on, let's get inside, Papa said, holding my hand. We stepped inside. Every step I took was an emotional ride, pinching every second of what I had missed for 3 long years. Welcome back, doll, James and Maria Dawson greeted me. Even Maria hugged me with emotional tears, and I hugged her back too. They are the butlers of the mansion and second parents to Antonio and me. I took a look at the whole mansion, reliving the best and happiest memories of my life. Everything is the same as I left 3 years ago. Nothing changed except the features of the people who lived here. Time and age have caught up with everyone, and I have aged alongside them. Everything is so wholesome. Even though I have never appreciated luxury before, I am enjoying it immensely at the moment. This will be the safest and sweetest place for my little sweetheart to grow up, I mean the one inside me. Thinking I should tell Mama and Papa about the pregnancy, I watched my parents from the corner of my eyes. They seemed very happy, but the worry was also not hidden much. I could sense it. I guess I should inform them of my pregnancy, but not just now. That will be after things have settled down a bit. Emotionally. My parents are now aware that I am no longer married to Antonio. They found out this during their long vacation in Hawaii, and after hearing this news, they immediately returned from there. Ads by Pub Future. I could not thank them for this. Each time I needed my loved ones beside me, I found them no matter what. They never complained about my decision. They trusted me and let me do my mind. Somewhere, I am grateful for that because their support allowed me to explore the people of this world and made me mature with time. Yet, for the first time, my family was dissatisfied with my decision to live a simple life for Alessandro. Especially Papa. When I decided to change my surname in order to marry Alessandro, he was very angry. He tried to stop me, but I didn't listen because of my blind foolishness. And when I left home, he didn't even bother to look at me. I was hurt that time without realizing how wrong I was. He warned me about the money-minded attitude of people, but I ignored his experience, drowning in my idiotic thoughts of fairy tale love. And I was hit back for that. My parent didn't contact me for 3 years, nor did I try. Now, looking back at the time, I realize my mistakes. I realized how lucky I am to have such parents. I did make a mistake. I should have contacted them long ago, but I didn't. Now that I'm back, they've completely forgotten the past and welcomed me with open arms. Parents are parents, right? No one can beat their love. At dinner time, I sat in the huge dining hall with my parents while the servants started serving food. The dining area is huge, and in my point of view, this is a waste. Well, I know I am a billionaire heiress, but I never believed in wasting money on unnecessary lavish products. I always wanted a convenient home filled with family, love, and adoration, but unfortunately, this world only values money and fame. Looking at the food, I smiled. Maria, of course, made the food of my wish. I can't blame her. This lady is always after spoiling us with her cooking skills. Even I and Antonio learned cooking from her. I also made them sit with us for dinner. I was missing Antonio, but he has to attend back-to-back meetings, my poor brother. So much has to sacrifice to be a director of a huge corporation. We were eating while Mama and Papa described Hawaii. Mom even started planning a family vacation for us. One thing I am grateful for is that none of them once brought up the topic of my divorce. I was jerked out of my thoughts when Papa's phone started ringing. He received it and put it on a loudspeaker. Hello, Papa spoke with his business tone. Cold and firm. Immediately, I felt Antonio over there. They say it right, like father, like son. Congratulations, Mr. Edwards. The opposite person said. You have taken a 10% equity stake in CM for $2.8 billion. You are now the largest shareholder of the whole fashion market. Papa's face brightened, and I smiled at his happiness. Thank you for the information, Mr. Austin, Papa replied, hiding his emotion. No problem, sir. So Papa hung up. Congratulations, Papa Bear. I held his hand over the table, and he dropped a kiss on the back of my hand. Thank you, sweetheart. Your presence always brings fortune to this family, my doll. I was about to reply, but a sudden bang on the table startled us. It was Mama. She was glaring at her husband fiercely. Oh. This look is always to run for, Papa is in trouble. What happened, darling? Papa asked with a hint of fear and confusion in his eyes, and Mama only rolled her eyes at him. Are you for real, Vincent? Your daughter is finally back, and you're still talking business on the phone? Oh, no. I am not. I swear. He quickly apologized and turned to me, kissing my hand once again. Forgive Papa, will you? I smiled at the cutest couple. I so admire these two. It's all right, Papa. I winked at him, and he laughed. Come home and stay with us this time. No one will dare to bully you anymore. Suddenly Papa said, stopping his laugh. Mama nodded in agreement. Your Papa is right. Come home, baby, we missed you. She sobbed, shaking her head. My poor baby girl, you have been in sensitive health since you were a child. We brought you up with so much care and love. She sniffed, breaking my heart into pieces. You grew up and fell in love. You even changed your last name to marry that scum. Mama's words were like sharp stabs in my heart. It ached so bad that how careless I was to hurt them. Fuck. Instantly, I rushed beside her and held her hands. I am back now, aren't I? I will never leave you again. I wiped her tears and kissed her hands. I just hope you can forgive me for what I did before. I looked at Papa with pure regret, and he held my hands. His eyes turned teary, making me gasp out loud. I've never seen him emotional. Papa. He shook his head. I am sorry, Princess. I should have called you long ago. I can't believe you suffered this much. If I didn't hold my anger. That worthless idiot could never bully you. He turned angry with his last sentence and then sighed. I am sorry, my child. I stood up and went beside Papa and hugged him, fully crying. I can't stop my tears anymore. Don't say that, Papa. I am at fault, not you. You have warned me before, but I was too stupid to listen. I sobbed. I promise I won't leave you again. I will listen to your words. Let it be known this time, I truly mean what I say. That was a very emotional moment for us. Both Mama and Papa were beside me. Oh, how I wish Antonio was here too. Mama wiped my tears when my phone started ringing. A little annoying to be the truth for the disturbance. Maybe, it could be Antonio. But, the moment my eyes fell on the screen, my mood turned off. It is none other than my ex-husband. What the fuck he wants now? I excused myself from there. I don't want my parents to see his call, not after this moment. I wouldn't have picked up this call. But just because it was me for whom he ended up in the hospital, I am receiving his call. Let's see what he has to say. What is it now? I asked in a duh and a little irritated. I was taken aback by how distant and unfeeling my voice sounded. And his reply stunned me with a need to pinch his handsome sorry face. I miss you, Victoria. Can you come to the hospital and bring me some food? Please. Yeah, that's what this shameless man said. A few hours ago. Life has turned into hell after she is gone, as if something had just parted from me. Perhaps my heart, as I was no longer able to feel it. It may sound cliched, but it is the awful reality of my existence. I am very aware of my own guilt. For 3 years, she put up with me. Absolutely no other girl in her position would agree to it. Not even I would attempt it. There is nothing that she hasn't loved me through, and she never voiced a grievance. In all honesty, I was the one who didn't give a damn. And I only realized my error now that she had finally given up. I don't know, but maybe I have fallen for her this time. I am sure I did. She has somehow made her way into my cold heart, and now it's full of her. Sir. I was jerked out of my inner thoughts by Calvin's excited voice. He rushed inside the room, huffing. It seemed he did a sprint to get in here. You get it? I asked and nodded firmly. Yes, sir. He replied, and I adjusted myself on the bed. I asked him to investigate the accident 3 years ago. My heart started racing in curiosity, eager to know the result. I desperately did not want Camilla to be the person. Did you find out who the girl was? Trying to sound rational but failing miserably. I didn't know if Calvin caught the desperation in my tone. Even if he did, he didn't react to it. Still no clue, sir, Calvin replied. Immediately, blood rose in my head as I threw away the file Calvin had given me. How dare you come here without any news? Get lost! I barked at him, and he flinched but didn't get out as I said. Instead, he picked up the file and kept it on the bedside table. There is more, sir. I found out that Miss Camilla seems to have given up playing the piano for another reason. He said. His words worked to calm me down a little. Still, aggrieved that there was no information about that accident, but this news? She has always claimed she saved me from fire. Recently, it's always in my mind that she is lying. She even claimed that she injured her hand while saving me and sacrificed her career playing piano, which turned out to be a lie. If she could lie about her injury, why couldn't it be that accident? Though it's still unclear, this one lie is the biggest proof that she is not so honest. She lied and forced a promise out of me to marry her, acting all innocent before my family and me. She really thinks I don't know anything. A cold smirk twitched my lips as I turned my gaze to Calvin. Don't stop the investigation of that year. Yes, sir. He replied, and I dismissed him. After Calvin was out, I closed my eyes only to greet by Victoria's beautiful face. It's not new, since she left my side. She is always in every part of me, and I love it. But I also miss her. Her care, her touch, her presence, well, all of her. I picked up my phone and turned it on. There she is, looking stunning in her red dress, smiling. Remembering that stunning grin wasn't for me constantly hurts. She was smiling at Antonio, though he was not present in the photo. I only captured her. Still, that memory is fresh in my mind. I took this photo hiddenly. I couldn't help it. Guess this is what punishment is like, isn't it? When she was beside me as my wife, I never had a photo of her, and now, when she walked away from me, I am trying all my levels to get a glance of her, and it's unavailable now. One chance, that's what I want from her. I swear, I will listen to every single breath of her carefully and fill my phone with her photos, just one chance I want. Slowly, my fingers found their way to the phone contacts, and seeing her name, I stared at the name for a moment. Why does this not look so ethical? Well, maybe. I pressed the edit option and changed her name to my wife with a little red heart beside it. Yeah, I know this is a bit cringing, but that's what I feel like doing it. I really don't care if anyone sees this and gives me a strange look at a great director being whipped by a woman. I would love to be her puppy, following her around. Just one chance, Victoria. I promise to prove myself this time. I once looked at the phone screen. Her number is on the dialed list, and before I could process it, I dialed it. With every ring, my heartbeat gets faster. And then it almost stopped when she answered the call. "What is it?" she asked. Even though her tone was cold and blank, I was happy. Seriously, I didn't think she would pick up. Does that mean she still cares for me? Fuck. I really hope that is a yes. I miss you, Victoria. Can you come to the hospital and bring me some food? Please, I begged her. I really need to see her. Please say yes, say yes. I kept chanting in my mind when she was taking a brief pause. But then she replied, toting my heart all along. First of all, I am not your servant to do your chores. Secondly, there are many maids in your house, why don't you call them? Or, why don't you call Camilla? I am sure she will be more than willing to bring you food. Her every word is like a slap on my face. Still, I want to hear her and want her beside me. Victoria, listen, but she didn't listen and hung up. Fuck Victoria, why can't you just listen to me for a second? Damn it! I flipped the phone beside me and closed my eyes, only to see her face again. Immediately, I opened my eyes, murmuring a curse as I picked up my phone. Okay, I need to call her till she agrees to come here. I dialed her number again, and she didn't pick up. I did it again and again. Victoria never answered. I looked so formidable, and I fucking am. I called Calvin, and he rushed inside. Yes, sir? Give me your phone, I demanded. He looked confused, yet he handed me his phone. I went through his contact list, and there it is. Miss Blake. Wait. Miss Blake? My already ruined mood turned gloomier. He does have time to save her name as Miss Blake, huh? Fine, I will see how you waste your time next on such things. I called her, praying she picked up this time, and finally. She did. Hello? Victoria, it's me. Please, don't cut the call. Please listen to me for once. I begged as soon as she received the call. What the fuck, Alessandro? Why don't you? She was angry, but I tried to stop her when I suddenly choked on my saliva and coughed violently. Victoria, please listen, I begged again. What's wrong with you? She asked, making me a little surprised. Wasn't she angry a second ago? What just happened? Oh! Is that change for my coughing? Are you all right, Alessandro? I heard her tone again from the opposite. She sounded worried even if she pretended she was not. I know this doesn't seem right, but I have to take it. Maybe, this is one sign from God giving me another chance. I coughed as hard as I could. Of course, I was faking it. I don't feel well, Victoria, and the cough continued. It seemed I am having fever and I didn't eat anything. I again coughed to make it believable. I sighed deeply. I only wanted your food, Victoria, coughing, but it's all right. I won't disturb you. So I hung up. Leaning on the pillow behind me, I smirked. Oh, I believe you won't ignore me now. Sir? I heard Calvin's tone. For a minute, I forgot he was present as I was using his phone. I looked at him and found him watching me in utter disbelief. I raised a brow at him in question. What? Let me know when she arrives, Anne. Why, you tricked her. He gasped, stopping in the middle. What did you say? I glared at him. Nothing. He shook his head. I will let you know when she arrives. Saying that, he rushed out of the room. I don't understand what is happening in my life. When I wanted Alessandro in my life, he despised me. And now, when I am trying to leave, he is pestering me in every way to annoy me. I won't deny it, I am not worried about him. I have loved him for 3 years, and somewhere in my heart, I still have a soft corner for him. Yet, my determination is not something I would give up after what he did to me. I have had enough of his ignorance. I also can't ignore him, he is in the hospital bed because of me. I was ready to take care of him, and I tried to until Camilla walked in. I just don't want her anywhere near my unborn infant or me. The drama of that family is too much to accept. That's why I walked away. But now, a helpless sigh left my lips as I stared at my phone screen. He sounded so weak and sick. Maybe, I will consider visiting him this time, for the last time? Then I will warn him not to call me ever. Yeah, I can do that. I just don't want anything bad to happen when I am a part of it. However, I turned to my parents, who were sharing their future plans with James and Maria happily. How can I let them know about my visit to Alessandro? They will be very upset, and I don't want to hurt them at any cost. Not again. Oh, Lord! Such a tough situation. All because of that man. I stepped toward the dining table with hesitating steps. I was thinking about what to tell them when Mama asked with a slight frown. What happened, Victoria? Everything all right? You look worried, baby. She stood up and came beside me. With her words, all the eyes are on me now. It felt like everyone was worried about me, making me guiltier for doing this. Everything is fine, Mama. I just need to go out for some time. If you agree, I said, ignoring her eye contact. Oh, where to? She asked softly. Tell us, doll, we can help you if there is any problem, Papa said immediately after Mama. I felt like tearing up at the continuous concern. Oh, Lord, how much I have missed these people. But, I suppressed myself from bursting into tears before them and shook my head with a smile. No, Papa, there is no problem. It's just, my one friend needs me with her now, a little urgent. So, I am hoping you guys won't mind if I go there. I tried my best not to look suspicious of my lie, and fortunately, it worked as they both agreed without doubting me. It was nighttime, so Papa warned me to take a car and a chauffeur. I had no other choice but to do it. I was grateful to God that he didn't send James or Mario, his loyal assistant, behind me. I would have been caught in no time. Soon, I reached the hospital and found Calvin standing before Alessandro's room. Seeing me, Calvin smiled immediately. Oh, I am so glad you are here, Miss Blake. He sounded so relieved from a heavy burden. How is he? I asked, looking at the closed door. His head hung lower as he shook his head. Go inside, ma'am. See by yourself, he sighed. Oh, my poor boss. His words sent a cold shiver in my heart as if someone clenched it with a cold hand. I just hope he is okay. Slowly, I stepped inside. The whole room is annoyingly quiet, only the beeping of machines is coming to my ears. In the middle of it, there he is, laying on the hospital bed, looking weak and brittle. My heart clenched again, seeing him like this broke my heart. I could be laying down there in his place if he didn't rush to save me. I once lost my love and still, that hurts. I didn't want the same thing to happen to me. Although I divorced him, that never meant it wouldn't affect me when he was hurt. Slowly, I went beside his sleeping figure. I guess I did the right thing by coming here. I must have to say, even in the sick bed, he is gorgeous. Carefully, I touched his forehead and gasped a little. He has a high fever. How come he became so sick all of a sudden? The last time I was here, he was much better than this. Maybe I could talk to the doctor? Thinking, I removed my hand from his forehead or tried to, when I felt his touch on my hand. Victoria, he murmured. Yes, I am here, Alessandro, I said, trying to remove my hand from his grip which tightened just now. Let me call the doctor. Victoria, he murmured again, with his eyes still closed. Victoria. Don't go. I blinked in confusion at first and then suddenly realized he was talking in sleep. His touch on my hand seemed like a burning fire. Oh no! This is not good. Immediately I pressed the button used for calling doctors. A few seconds later, the doctor rushed in with a nurse following behind. The doctor checked on him and assured me that it was the effect of a wound. It incited the fever. He needs to be taken care of and rest completely with healthy foods. He also gave him proper medication so the fever would go away. After the doctor was gone, I sat beside Alessandro and watched him, one of my favorite things to do in the past. He appeared happy and at ease while sleeping. Also, he could not ignore or be cold to me in his sleep unless he dreams of that. This is the last time only, I am watching him. Never in a million years did I imagine that I would leave everything behind for this man just to turn my back on him now. Gradually, he woke up from sleep, flattering his eyes open. He looked at me. Victoria. Why, you are here. Gulping the lump in my throat that was forming at a mere glance at his dull blue eyes, I nodded. Yes. I am. How are you feeling? Happy, he mumbled, trying to get up from bed. Hey, what are you doing? I quickly stopped him from getting out. Don't move, Alessandro. You are not allowed to move. I said, pulling the quilt over him again. Suddenly, I was stopped by him. He held my hand, and I glared at him before pulling my hand from his grip. What are you doing? For some time, it felt like his eyes flickered with sadness. Though I am sure, I sensed it wrong because he was watching me blankly. Well, my heart stopped thinking he was sad for a split second. I am just trying to go to the washroom. I hope that is allowed. He raised his brow at me as I flushed. Here I thought he was trying to get close to me. What an ironic embarrassment. Clearing my throat, I again looked back at him. Why, yes, that is allowed. You can go. I stepped back from his side and started searching in my bag to avoid the conversation with him. What a shameful bitch I am. How can I think he wants to get close to me? Fuck. Victoria? I looked at him, surprised, as he abruptly yelled my name. Huh? I blinked twice. Will you help me? He slightly tilted his head aside. I need help to go to the bathroom. It took me a moment to realize what he was asking for. Me? I raised my index finger at myself. There is no one else in here, Victoria. He said with utter amusement. Of course not. I stepped away from him. I will call for a nurse to help you. But they are women. He argued back, making me stop. But, soon, a name popped into my mind. Calvin. He is out there and will do it. I hurried to the door immediately, only to discover it was empty. Fuck. Wasn't he here before? I was trying to find some other solution when he started throwing tantrums. Oh, Victoria. I can't control it anymore. Help me. I turned to him to find him clenching his thighs with gritted teeth. Hurry up. Guess I have no other choice but to help him. Fine. I am coming.